Blades of grass and soil soaked with the blood of the father of our nation went under the hammer, sold to the highest bidder by UK auction house Mullocks. This blood, taken from the site where Mahatma Gandhi died and preserved for the last 64 years, has suddenly become a memorabilia to be bought and sold like any other commodity. Cries by Gandhians and people across the country to stop the auction fell on deaf ears, and the worth of Gandhi's blood-soaked soil was reduced half an hour back to 11,700 pounds.
These blades of grass, soaked with the blood of the father of our nation, taken from the scene of his assassination, now sold to the highest bidder. Gandhi's blood going under the hammer for 11,700 pounds at British auction house Mullocks, along with other Gandhi memorabilia, including a pair of round-rimmed glasses and a wooden charka. The fact that a price was put to Mahatma Gandhi's blood has caused a massive outrage across the nation. Gandhians even taking the matter to the president's doorstep.
महात्मा गांधी या किसी भी महापुरुष की चीज़ों को उसमें से पैसा बनाने की जो वृत्ति है वो बेहद खराब है.
But there are some, though in minority, who feel otherwise.
उन्होंने जहाँ से लिया उन समय उनकी इच्छा से लिया, ऐसा व्यक्तिगत जो हमारी संपत्ति का अधिकार है वो तो है.
This is not the first time auctioning of Gandhi's personal belongings to the highest bidder has raised a furore. But with the deep sentimental value that Gandhi's sacrifice has to India's freedom movement, a very basic question is being asked. Is every single thing in today's world been reduced to a mere commodity? Bureau Report, Times Now.
From Bangalore tonight, I'm joined by the chairman and managing director of Bid and Hammer Auctioneers. He's got nothing to do with this particular auction, though tonight he supports what has happened in London. Dr. Sudarshan Iyengar is Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Vidyapeeth in Ahmedabad. Prahlad Kakkar is with us. He's the head of Genesis Films, well-known ad guru, communications expert. Alec Padamsee, also joined by Rajiv Vora, chairman of the Swaraj Peeth Trust. My first question is to Tara Gandhi Bhattacharya, Mahatma Gandhi's great-granddaughter. Tell me, Miss Bhattacharya, you've heard about this auction at Mullocks. Now, what is most surprising is that one of the items auctioned was soil soaked with Mahatma Gandhi's blood and some blades of grass that were soaked with Mahatma Gandhi's blood. Do you think this was the right thing to do to allow the sale to happen?
Such news keeps coming, and we have to think about it. Every case is different. And when this news came to me, actually I have not been reading the newspapers, but I would say that this kind of thing, I don't know what to say for it. If there is soil soaked in blood with grass attached to it from the time when Gandhi was assassinated, I think it should be immersed in the waters, in the oceans, in the rivers, wherever it belongs. Wherever a place, whether it is whatever place of the world, it should be immersed in the oceans and in the rivers. I would say this is the way it should be done. And it is also very ironical about other items of Gandhi that are being sold, that are being multiplied. We do not even know whether they are fake or real. And every case has to be studied, of course, in a special way. But as Gandhi belongs to the entire world today and to the entire humanity, the best thing to do, I would say, is most of the things should be safe in museums, whether in India or outside India. And of course, for certain things, probably they have to be brought back here. But for the sake of charity and for the sake of earning name, if we do something, again in the name of Gandhi, using his name, to do either auctioning or to selling or buying, then I think it is very wrong to the spirit of Gandhi.
My point to Dr. Iyengar, I am told that you support this particular auctioning which has happened. You support the auctioning of human blood. I mean, forget Mahatma Gandhi's blood.
I am not.
Isn't this most macabre, barbaric, insensitive?
No, I am not supporting the auctioning of the blood. I just commented on the auction that takes place on the personal possessions which happens, and I am not very particularly, I did not comment on the blood.
What is your view? My question is today that for 11,000 pounds, which is what, roughly about 9 to or whatever, how many, it's about 12 lakh rupees. Somebody has bought soil soaked with Mahatma Gandhi's blood when he was assassinated in 1948.
And he should be, or he or she should be told what Tara Didi has already said, that it should be taken to the nearest ocean, river, and it must be immersed. I think that is what is really poetic, which Tara Didi has said, and I completely agree with her. If that has not been done, we have a responsibility to do, and I think for the blood with the soil has to be immersed, and this particular auction
we have done nothing.
I would not support.
We have done nothing.
We had done
the
nothing.
The government's done nothing.
But I don't think,
there has been...
I think our government in first place, Arnab, I think we have to understand that we have very little sense of heritage and the purity of heritage and sanctity of it. The state should have moved not today. The state should have moved 40 years back, 50 years back when this happened. We should have slowly collected all that is there in the name of the father of the nation from the world. And we should have done good justice. Like Tara Didi
why does anyone have to be reminded? The government says we took Herculean efforts in getting back Mahatma Gandhi's sandals along with a supper bowl and other personal effects in 2009. My question tonight is this: I want to know what defences exists. Let me get you in, Mr. Maher Dadha, who is the chairman of Bid and Hammer Auctioneers. If you had an opportunity, would you auction soil soaked with Mahatma Gandhi's blood, sir?
No. As an auctioneer, no, I would never do that. And but what has happened is in UK. But let me tell Arnab one thing, that the sentiments in India and the sentiments in European countries would be totally different. I agree with the overall sentiments that Indian government should have taken all the efforts to preserve Gandhi's memorabilia right from the day he was assassinated, and should have been preserved in the national museums. I will give a very small example. 2 years back, I was approached by a temple in Bangalore to conduct an auction of a temple which was demolished. I, being an Indian, being a Hindu and a Jain, and I just was sentimentally attached to it, and I said, but nevertheless, they had decided to demolish the temple and the contents would have been sold. I said, look, if it is to be sold, it has to be preserved within the country by the community people, make a museum out of it, or if that is the lookout. And we made a public call to that effect, and I, as an auctioneer, said, I will not take any commission or premium on the sales of those items. So similarly, had this auction taken place in India, I don't think so any auctioneer would have participated.
So this is morbid.
Or would have voluntarily gone and given it to the government.
This is morbid.
But here, unfortunately, the government of India should have acted much faster. When did they come to know?
Well, I don't know.
This auction is taking place and these items are going for sale. I
can only pity the sentiment of both the seller and the buyer out here. Both the person who sells soil soaked with Mahatma Gandhi's blood, Prahlad Kakkar, and the person who buys it.
Well, for him,
you know,
you should also appreciate the fact that he has preserved it for last 60 years.
So
and if he's selling it, what's wrong in it?
What's wrong in it?
Government of India bid and buy it.
One second. You sell human blood of a dying man, soaked in blood, that too of Mahatma Gandhi, and you commoditize it. You are not treasuring it, you are using it as a commodity. You are using it like you would use bullion.
But
I'm sorry,
you can't control people who are outside India, who are not under
but
the
you just justified it.
Indian sentiments.
But you justified it, Mr. Dadha. You said what's wrong with it?
No, I never said that. I said if they have sold it, government should have bid and taken it. You cannot bid.
I am not talking about the
most make a request.
Sir, I am not talking about whether it's legally right or wrong. I am talking about whether it's morally right or wrong.
Morally or legally or not, the fact is
morally
that
also
this
you
gentleman
cannot
has
the
preserved
morality
the
cannot be imposed on somebody outside the country or who does not have sentiments for India.
For
or
the
Indian
last
nation,
40,
father
50
of the
years.
nation.
Now, the point is that he put a notice out in the newspapers announcing the fact that he has this and he wants to get rid of it, and if anybody has an offer or anybody has a good idea about what to do with it, then he is quite willing to negotiate or talk to them. The fact was that nobody actually offered to either buy it.
So he sells it.
Obviously. Obviously, what do you expect him to chuck it into the loo and pull the flesh?
If he has any value for it, he would not sell it to the highest bidder.
No, at least...
You are putting a commercial price to Mahatma Gandhi's blood.
No,
I'm sorry, this is not an overstatement.
Arnab, if you are putting a price to it, and if it is whatever the price is, then at least the person who buys it will preserve it because it has a value.
The person is not buying it.
It doesn't seem that the government of India or anybody in this country has a value.
One second. Your argument is completely flawed.
Not at all.
And I'll tell you why your argument is flawed. Because a person who buys soil soaked in Mahatma Gandhi's blood for a price,
at least he values it.
He's valuing it like he would value a painting which he hopes to sell at a higher price another day.
Doesn't matter, but at least he's going to preserve it.
You are selling the relic of the death of the father of the nation.
The government of India does not even value it for that much.
Forget the government of India.
Or Indians, or the Gandhians, or the society.
You are selling soil soaked with Mahatma Gandhi's blood.
Why are you being so moralistic?
I'm not talking about piece of flannel. I'm not talking about a prayer book.
No.
I'm not talking of spectacles. I'm not talking about letters written by him.
What about the shroud of Christ?
I am asking you about soil soaked with Mahatma Gandhi's blood. There has to be something completely sort of insensitive to selling that, buying it as a commodity, then hoping that tomorrow you'll put it at a higher price. Let's get in another voice.
So how do you know that it's going to be sold for higher?
I want to get in Rajiv Bora. Rajiv Bora, what do you make of the argument Prahlad Kakkar is putting tonight? Rajiv, they're coming to you. I'll come after that.
Yeah, I think the whole argument about selling is only secondary. First matter is whether this is authentic. And supposing that it is Mahatma Gandhi's, then what Tara Bhattacharya has said, that is the perfect thing to do. Because look, whether a European thinks in one way or Indian thinks other way, that is a different matter. That is not the point here. I mean, even the auctioneer and the seller and the buyer, all three parties should think that this belongs to Mahatma Gandhi. It is Mahatma Gandhi's blood. And Mahatma Gandhi belonged to a particular tradition, particular nation. He had his own ideas also. About everything that belonged to him, he made a particular will also. But when it comes to blood, things which are biological to him, then that should be consigned to flame. And which is not to be consigned to flame as ashes, then you immerse them in the waters, Ganges or the ocean. This is the only thing to be done, because it is not only matter of sentiment. It is morbid. It is blasphemy. It is blasphemy. So immoral. Who put it up? And who knows whether that is. Why did this gentleman first of all kept this blood for 64 years, and suddenly he comes up only 15 days back we'll hear that there is something like this, and within 15 days there is an auction. While we are debating, the auction has already taken place. There is no space. There was no space to stop this morbid action. This is very immoral action.
Why did nobody go to court? I'm asking tonight.
Pardon
asking you. Why? No, because Gandhi signed a will. Didn't he sign a will? He signed a will in 1940. Which said,
look in his,
which said, I do not believe. One second, Gandhi in the wills wrote, I do not believe I have any property. Anything which by social convention or in law is considered mine, anything movable or immovable, books, articles, etc., I endow to the Navjivan institution.
That belongs to Navjivan, yes.
Yeah, whom I hereby declare as my heirs. So, selling any item belonging to Gandhi is illegal, and selling his blood is completely illegal and unacceptable and morally decrepit.
So why
I think it up? Look, Arnab, I think this steps should be retraced. There should be a pressure put on all the three parties and now the buyer. I think a moral pressure should be put on him to revert this back to India and most probably to the family members of Mahatma Gandhi, so that they can go to the Ganges or to the ocean and immerse it. I think this should be done in a most honorable and respected manner, because this belongs to Mahatma Gandhi. The one who has bought it must have bought it out of certain sentiments. He would have also good sentiments about Mahatma Gandhi.
How do we know? How do we know that?
I think.
How do we know?
Yeah, we don't know, but we give him the benefit of doubt. Only giving them benefit of doubt. But point is that the moral pressure or even a political pressure should be put on him to revert this back to India, and it should be immersed.
I want to get an Alec Padamsee here who's been listening on
Arnab,
patiently.
I have a point here.
Sir, I'll come to you, Dr. Iyengar. I just want to get Alec Padamsee who hasn't spoken yet. Yes, Alec.
Sure.
Well, I would say